I'm here today to discuss the issue of equity, justice, and fairness as regards how elections are conducted and how each zone has to be carried along effectively.
Right.
And my main focus is on Bayelsa West, where I believe without any iota of doubt that it is the turn of Ekeremor to produce the senator and the turn of Sagbama to produce House of Representatives. Bayelsans, one thing we all know about politics is equitable sharing of positions. We start from the party level. For instance, the PDP family that I belong to today, all party offices are zoned based on areas represented in the state. For instance, the current chairman of PDP today is from Ekeremor. The party knows it won't be proper for every other office to be occupied by Ekeremor. So the deputy chairman went to another place. The secretary is from Kolokuma Opokuma. Also, when it comes to the national stage, we have a situation whereby power rotates from the north to the south. The north does 8 years, another 8 years goes to the south. Today, in the House of the National Assembly, for instance, all the 3 senatorial zones in Bayelsa State have a zoning arrangement. Bayelsa East, for instance, between Ogbe and Nembe and Brass, it's just one tenor. Nobody goes beyond one tenor. When you come to Kolokuma Opokuma, between Southern Ijo, Kolokuma Opokuma, and Yenegua, it still rotates. If you go to Bayelsa West, where I come from, it's been a rotational thing. Because I, as a person, I have once gone to a sister radio station in this state during the 2019 by-election, where I was so vocal concerning the issue of somebody going to complete the tenure of our now Deputy Governor, Senator Lawrence Erijagbo. So it has been on that basis for equity, fairness, and justice. In this coming dispensation, our belief and our prayer is just so short and simple. For that of Bayelsa West, which happens to be our immediate constituency, we are saying that Sagbama by 2027 will be completing 8 years. So it should be, the Senate should ideally go back to Ekeremor, and Sagbama should occupy that of the position of House of Representatives for the next 8 years, so that we will not begin to generate bad blood that might likely, even though it does not affect us directly, that might likely affect our children. So for that sake, we are appealing to everyone, by 2027, we should respect every agreement we have with ourselves. We should work harmoniously to make sure that Ekeremor and Sagbama continue to live like brothers.
All right. For those who argue that zoning is not good for democracy, in the sense that you may not have your best shot if, for instance, your best shot at the moment is performing excellently, and then for the sake of zoning, you have to pull out your best player so another can play or filling that position.
When you talk about not changing a winning team, yes, but be that as it may, it's just like fielding an already exhausted player by age or whatever means. What you do is to, groom a sort of persons that will now take over from that person. So yes, Senator Henry Seraki Dixon has been contributing his own best at the assembly. But be that as it may, we are talking about an arrangement. You can mold somebody, you can build somebody, you can give somebody that confidence from Ekeremor, who will now take your place. You can be somebody who will put on your shoes. It is only when you deliberately make your shoes too big that people will not put their legs into your shoes. So it's for you to adjust your shoe and let an Ekeremor person wear the shoe. When there is a need for somebody to be groomed, you should encourage it. For the sake of equity, fairness, and justice, you should support someone else. It's not out of place to do that. Now, is that one too difficult to do? It is not, as far as we are concerned. I remember vividly Senator Henry Serake Dixon saying that he was going to complete the tenure of Erujakpo. If he's completing the tenure of Erujakpo, Erujakpo's tenure elapses in 2027. So what is the big deal there? You support any other person. As Ijaw people, Ijaw means truth. Let's support any other person. Give the person the necessary encouragement and requirements to go there and perform. When you talk about the legislative arm of government, actually it has no time frame. You might be there for life. But we are talking about convenience. We are talking about morality. We agreeing on something, and it must not be breached by anybody, no matter your position, your status in society. We have to respect that agreement. Now, the callers, they've mentioned Constantine One, Southern Ijaw, Amatolo, and Otuan has not benefited. It is wrong. I'm appealing to the Amasoma people to stop using their numerical strength to oppress those smaller communities. When it comes to the constituency one again in Ekeremor, they should do the needful. It is nobody's bedroom. Now, when you're talking about representation, you can represent a people. You can talk. If you talk at the end of the day, you are not encouraged to, produce results by the leadership in quotes, because everyone is voted on equal terms. All of you were senators before you got to the Senate, the floors, and it's okay for purpose of management. Let us say this person is Senate President, this one is Deputy, this one is Chief Whip, what have you. Now, if you talk and talk and talk, at the end of the day, you are not able to produce a result, maybe because your position is counter to that of the leadership. What happens? At the end of the day, you'll be changing your people. So instead of changing your people, why don't you step aside and groom somebody else to take over?
So you're saying that at the moment, the current Senator Serake Dixon may not be in the good books of the leadership of the Senate because of his stance on several issues.
No, we don't need to shy away from it. We don't need to hide.
And then you are afraid that work against him.
Yes, it might work against him. Yes, and the people of the constituency. That is the basic truth.
Or his senatorial district.
See, I give myself as an example. The Christopher Abarowei that is seated here today, in my APC days, it's not as if people cannot give me anything. But at the end of the day, they say, that man is so confrontational. You understand? I have been in the trenches, so I know what it takes. Even in PDP, some persons are looking at me as in that way. But I don't give it them. I don't give it. It's not an issue as far as I'm concerned, because it has been my style. So far as I know, it is the right thing I'm doing. If it is standing alone, I'll stand alone.
So you're saying that Senator Dixon also standing alone? Standing
alone will be counterproductive to the people of Sabama West. Let's call Bayelsa West. Let's call a spade, not just an instrument.
Would you have rather he flows with the National Assembly leadership and works against what he believes in? Is that what
that's what you see? When you say working against, there is what is called an opinion, there's what is called a decision. You understand? In the Constituent Assembly of 1978, a Fred Ekia and one other person represented Old River State. But what happened at the end of the day? Their opinion was only heard, but a decision was taken. You understand? So if 90% of your actions end up in people taking a decision against your opinion, at the end of the day, you end up doing nothing. That's just the truth.
But because you are someone who encourages people to speak up, as you say, you also speak
now, in speaking up in this context, he has
been doing what is right.
No, see, in speaking of in this context is this. If I tell you it is like this, I should stand by it. With charity begins at home now. You understand? If you have agreed that it is like this, let it be like that.
You're saying Senator Dixon agreed that there will be a rotation, is that?
Yes, he has spoken in Ijaw that it is our turn. Because during that period, a serving commissioner today was with me in a sister radio station. We were talking of zoning. We were speaking on zoning. So I know what I am talking.
Okay, you campaigned at that time that people should vote for Dixon.
Yes, that because it is the turn of Sagbama. Sagbama must complete her turn.
And this time around, you're coming up
to say it is the turn of Ekeremor.
Okay.
Some persons came on this to say yes, some Ekeremor persons contested against Dixon. They were talking about Doya and
Wilson Ayakbo Doya and Ekeremor baby. Yeah.
Ekeremor baby. But the question is, at the end of the day, did the Ekeremor people vote against the arrangement? They did not vote against the arrangement. They stood by that arrangement and voted against their children. So if they voted against their children, then what stops Sagbama from doing the right thing? That is my argument. Nobody is taking away the fact that the current occupant of that seat is not vocal. Nobody is taking that away. Our major concern is for us to continue to build that harmonious relationship between the people of Sagbama and Ekeremor. So that, because there is always a popular saying, if you say, now you strong past today, you feel leave the stage, what of your children? If they are weaker and the other person becomes stronger and decide to seize the thing perpetually, what happens to your children? So those are the areas we are looking at. For crying out loud, I'm 65 years already. So anything I do or say, I say based on one, the truth, two, for posterity purposes. So my simple take is this. Yes, Ekeremor and Sagbama had an agreement. Everybody knows about it. That it is one, once one person completes his or her turn, the other person takes over. So for that simple reason, from 2019 to 2027 will make it 8 years, 2 tenure of Sagbama occupying that position in the Senate. So for us to have a balanced arrangement, we are pleading, we are begging that you allow the Ekeremor people to have their turn. I am not speaking for Ekeremor people, I am speaking for humanity. I am speaking for the sake of posterity, that tomorrow will not give that room opportunity for us to be having rancor. We should operate a rancor-free system. Whoever that is stepping aside will always say, okay, let my children do better than me. So pick somebody from Ekeremor, groom the person, let the person go there and represent the people. Short and simple. For the House of Representatives, there are young men, there are young women in Sagbama local government who wants to grow too. Give them the opportunity to grow from Sagbama. Because you will say, okay, because I am this, you don't know peradventure that you are blocking some other persons. No, you don't have to block some other persons. You give room for them to operate. And how do you give room for them? Is by creating a conducive environment for them to operate. And how do you create that conducive environment? You do that by stepping aside so that they will have a shot at the House of Representatives and grow from there. Maybe their voice might be louder than yours, because as a father, you pray that your children will be better than you. No father prays for his child to be weaker than him. He wants the children to at least do better than him. The children to succeed them well. And that's why the Bible calls it good success. I think in Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, said this book of the law should not depart out of your mouth. Meditate therein day and night. So that what? You will achieve good success. And how do you achieve good success? You don't turn to the left, not to the right.
If you were sitting down with the senator, what would you tell him now?
If I'm sitting down with the senator, I will tell him, sir, you have performed creditably well. As a commissioner, as a member of the House of Representatives, as a governor for 8 years, as a senator for 8 years, sir, look for a higher thing to do. Get a higher position. And that will create room for you to say, okay, tomorrow, because you gather your children very well, the leadership of Ijaw nation might fall into your hands. That is what I am saying. We don't need to have a vacuum in Ijaw nation. We must make sure that our leaders are well respected, our leaders keep to their word, so that at the end of the day, if they stand at the front, we rally around them.